Well, that's not the spring gold and silver investors envisioned. Let's talk about the situation in silver, specifically the situation with the silver miners and the silver junior producers. That is the sector that I'm most interested in. I'm going to tell you today why, and I'm going to give you one stock that I really like to buy myself. You don't have to buy it yourself, do your own research, but that I want to buy myself in this correction. It's that good. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day, your show for swing trading ideas for the coming days, weeks, and month. Hi, my name is Daniel Wilhelmi. Welcome to Hot Trades of the Day. If you're new to the channel, we're glad to have you. Hit the subscribe button. That would be very kind. Helps us out, helps you out, because that way you do not miss any of the videos you would not have missed. The videos at the beginning of the week, I was talking about the decision of silver being imminent and coming in the next days. And as you can see, looking here at the silver chart, that is exactly what happens. And unfortunately for the silver bulls, the situation is resolving to the downside. And today's candle, very important, because we're talking about the confirmation of the break of this uptrend that basically led the silver rebound. You can't really call it a rally, but rebound in the past month. So we broke it yesterday. That's bad. Couldn't regain it. That's worse. Also established that we stay below the 50-day moving average. Now we're at triple worse. I mean, this is like Cleveland Browns bad, what we're talking about right here. So today, if things stay or get worse, as you see here in the European trading, that would be the confirmation of the breakdown below the uptrend channel, and then we would get more pressure on silver. That's what I told you at the beginning of last week. That was the highest probability. That was my, unfortunately, favorite scenario, but also very fortunate because I want to add to my silver position. And tomorrow I'm going to send out a special video that's called China's Master Plan. And silver plays a crucial role here. And you will see that there's a new bull case developing for silver that's not even anticipated yet in the market. It's kind of wild, actually, but okay, that's why we are here at Hot Trades of the Day, to be ahead of the market, to be ahead of the curve. And again, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss videos. You really do not want to miss tomorrow's video, China's Master Plan. I think you will really like the information you're going to get there. I have not heard this anywhere else. I'm not going to say I'm the smartest person in the room. I sure hope not, because then the world would be in terrible shape. But I think there are some people probably in the analyst community on Wall Street that figured this out as well, and Washington told them, yeah, don't publish that yet. So that happens all the time, by the way. So anyway, back to silver. I want to buy the silver miners. I want to buy more silver. That's my personal decision. You need to make your own decisions. I'm not your financial advisor. But what does the situation look like in the silver stocks, and what silver stocks do I want to buy and why? So let's start with one of the most prominent ETFs for the silver miners. And I actually left in here, I did a video, it must be about 4 weeks ago, pretty much after we broke this downtrend. And in this video, I outlined this ABC move. All right, that was what I predicted is going to happen. So I left this in here just to show you, okay, we're right on track. Yeah, okay, so maybe I was a little off on the length, but that doesn't matter, right? We can't predict that accurately. The more important thing is it's playing out. It's playing out as we anticipated. I hope you saw the video, because then you knew what's going to happen. You see that We tried to break above the 50-day moving average. Here, couldn't do it. Island reversal, whoop, and now the B wave is on. Now, how low will the B wave go? That's the interesting question, right? Could be this uptrend. Below it, we have great support. There's horizontal support and the 200-day moving average. I really like this. So either way, that's a pretty good zone, right? This is our target zone somewhere around here, unless the markets, the equity markets that is, go into a steep correction, because then silver mining stocks, because they are stocks, going to get dragged down with it, especially if silver is not doing anything. And as we just saw, silver is running through a correction right now. It's going to be really interesting how low this goes, but it's happening. And the probability is higher that we're going to go lower, especially if today is confirming the breakdown below the uptrend from March. So that one is history in that case. Now, what is definitely history here already, as you can see, and that's usually, it's very common, right? The miners are usually ahead of the metal, is the uptrend in the miners is over already. They're already in a correction, right? They're already anticipating this. And this is interesting because the stock market has done well in the past weeks, but the miners have not. And the reason is the new fear that's in the market. We have a weakness in the silver price and the energy prices are going up. So there's going to be cost increases for the miners. And they bring out the diesel examples, and they bring out the examples in Australia where some mines had to shut down because of the high diesel prices and the energy problems. That's true, but you got to really take a step back and see this project for project, especially with silver, which is so important for the economy, especially the tech economy. The situation is way better than it is for some other metals that are not that crucial. It's actually even better than it is for gold, because gold doesn't really have an industrial use case except for jewelry, and that's pretty much the same thing as store of value. So silver will get government support, the silver companies, if things would get super dicey, which I do not think they will. And why don't I think this? And we're talking about the producers here. Remember, we're talking about the producers. We're not talking about the developers, the explorers. We're for sure not talking about the prospect generators that do not pull any silver ounces out of the ground. We're talking about producers that are producing silver ounces that are selling them. And the reason why this is not that big of a problem, except if your project is deep, deep in the jungle of Indonesia and you really can only use diesel generators, then you're effed with a capital F. But if you are in the US, if you are in Canada, then the situation is very different and not that problematic. And the reason being is the silver price. What people forget is this is where we are now. This is where we were a year ago. So I believe the silver price is going to start going back up in the second half of 2026. So then maybe we'll talk about prices of $80, $90 an ounce. That's basically right here in May, April, we're at like 33, right? So the price of silver more than doubled compared to this period last year. So that will compensate for some of the rising energy costs. But the reason why I like the junior miners even better is the junior miners have another level that helps them dealing with higher energy prices. And that is that they're increasing their production significantly. That's why they're juniors. They're starting out, they're smaller, and their increase of ounces of silver, or more likely silver equivalent, meaning it's going to be silver and then byproducts like gold or copper, for example, zinc. And then that all gets calculated into silver. That's why it's called silver equivalent for the people that are new here. And if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, by the way, so you don't miss any of these videos. As you can see, you're going to get a lot of information here that you don't get anywhere else, at least nowhere that I'm aware of. There might be a channel somewhere in Somalia that I'm not aware of, but the increase in the silver production will help us. This is a second growth trigger, right? For the large silver producers, their margin improvements and their profit improvements going to come from the higher silver prices. From the juniors, it comes from the higher silver prices and the increase of production. So now I got two factors that can offset the rising energy prices. That's why I like the juniors much better. And this is what you see right here. It's the Junior Silver Miners ETF, so that's specifically for the juniors. Again, there are not that many silver juniors, so the composition is not the greatest, but that goes for the silver sector overall. There are just not really that many primary silver projects out there, so almost all of the big silver producers that you are aware of, that everybody is buying, yeah, the percentage of silver in their revenue or in their produced ounces is usually 55% or less. But there are some juniors that offer really high upside. They're really highly correlated to the silver prices. And we're going to talk about one in a minute. So this is a junior. And as you can see, pretty similar situation to the bigger ETF that I showed you earlier. We're below the 50. We doinked off it. Now we're going to get a test back. And we got a really good support zone here as well. We got this uptrend that has been in place since Trump tariff chaos in April of last year. So this is significant. We got the 200 moving up steeply, as you can see. And we have this big blue support zone from the old all-time highs, October 2025. Support doink, ran into the middle, plus the uptrend, double support doink, and off we went. So this is a significant triple support. Not only that, if we switch to the weekly, we see that the 50 days coming up really quickly because of the strong run in the silver junior miners. So the 50 weekly moving average probably going to enter this support area as well pretty soon, giving us really 4 supports in this area. So that is significant. That is an area where I get interested in the silver miners and gonna start nibbling, but that depends on how the overall market is and starting to get to it. Now, I told you I'm gonna show you a junior miner that I really like, and that's Aya Gold and Silver. I talked to the management last week in Zurich. I was thinking how long ago? That was Tuesday. Last Tuesday. It's an impressive management. They know exactly what they're doing. They're 100% silver at the moment. Now that's going to change because they're working on bringing a big mine into production, and that will have silver and gold and some byproducts. So it's going to go down from 100, but it's still going to be one of the highest percentages. So if you want maximum exposure to silver, Aya Gold and Silver is one of the best stocks in the junior mining sector. Again, this is not a recommendation. This is what I think after I talked to the management. I've followed this company for a long time. I'm not a shareholder yet. I'll buy into it if I get a good entry price in a correction, full disclosure. But as you can see, it's holding up. It's even above the 50-day. It's even above the 50-day. And just so you understand, look at this chart from Aya Gold and Silver. And now we're going to compare this to some of the seniors, and you see the difference. Let's start Hecla, below the 50. Uptrend broken. Doesn't look great. Kerr, below the 50, almost close to the 200. Wow, this one's really taking it on the chin. First Majestic, below the 50. See the trend? I don't think we need to go any further, but I'll do it for you. Pan American Silver, below the 50. So you compare this with a chart of Aya, you see there's a high relative strength in this stock. Why is it? Well, it's a great company. It's a junior producer. Exactly what I just told you is playing out at Aya at the moment, which is high production growth is coming. 100% silver right now in the revenue and the production. Again, that's going to go down, but it's still going to be one of the highest ones. And the story, which is, by the way, a huge silver project in Morocco, which is one of the reasons why the stock has been flying under the radar. A couple of other ones, but this is one of the main ones. This is a stock that I'm eyeing that might be interesting for your watch list. Just some free value here at Hot Trade of the Day before the weekend starts. And this is it for today. I wish you a great start for the weekend. Don't forget tomorrow's video, China's master plan. I think you really want to know this information. Also, tomorrow, the newsletter video that should have been out 2 weeks ago, but I've been so busy traveling and working. It's going to come out tomorrow. So if you want to ask a question, because it's going to be a Drinks with Dan, ask me anything type of question, just don't ask me anything about European football. I don't know anything about European football. People asked me the other day, are you excited for the World Cup? I'm like, I'm not going to be in the US. I mean, I'm going to be at the Rick Rule at the end of the World Cup, but I'm not going to any games or whatever. Anything else? Great. Just throw it in the comments today so I might be able to answer it tomorrow in the special video. For that, you need to subscribe to the free newsletter, which is free. It's a newsletter. It has great information. We're not going to spam you. Link is in the comments or go to bullmarketlifestyle.com. And that is it for today, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you a great weekend. We all deserve it. Talk to you tomorrow for China's master plan and hopefully Drinks with Dan from the VIP newsletter. Bye-bye.